Alright, here we are for attempt number 2 at the tutorial. I realized halfway through that I was recording on the wrong microphone and you couldn't really hear me, so we're going to try that again on the proper mic. And here we are. This is XB Walker, of course, or today this is going to be 6th Vermont Sergeant XB Walker, or 6th Vermont Volunteer Infantry Sergeant XB Walker. It's a mouthful. And today I'm going to be teaching you some of the basics of rifleman training, or the basics of rifle. And we're just going to get right to it. I'm using a Springfield 1861, and that is about the most average gun that there can possibly be in this game. Springfield 1861 is a good rifle. Not a great one, but it's a good one. And it is pouring rain right now in the game, which is going to make things a little bit more interesting. Should be fun. And so we're just going to get started. So with your 1861, and actually with most rifles except for musket ball rifles, round ball, you're going to want to always aim at the target near the middle of the sight, except for in long distance cases, which I'll show you in a second. So let's go ahead and get right about... Look at that. Look at how accurate that is. First set of targets is about 25 yards out, so it's not exactly difficult to get a bullseye or close to a bullseye on those. Second set, somewhere around 50 yards. Third is 75-ish, and the last set is about 125. I was told it's 100, but I think it's further. I could be wrong. One of you who've been playing the game for a very long time will no doubt correct me if I'm wrong. So that is the 25-yard, pretty easy shot. And this is the Union practice range, by the way, which unfortunately the Union practice range is very, very far from where you spawn in. So the Confederates definitely have it a little bit better than we do in that sense. But you'll get to it eventually. You can always hit T on your map and look for this icon right here. Over there is the melee training and the main camp. Alright, second set of targets, same thing. You're going to want to aim near the middle, about dead middle of your sight. As you can see, almost a bullseye. That would have been a kill. That's at about 50 yards. Now, as we get out to 75 yards and 125 yards, let's say, things get a little bit different. I confirmed with one of the developers a few days ago that indeed this game does have bullet drop on the practice server as well as on the main server. So if there's any confusion there, you could put that to rest. That's confirmed by, I believe, Trusty Jam and George C. Alright, so now we're going to go out to 75 yards, which is a bit of a tougher shot, and instead of aiming upper or middle of the sight, I'm going to go a bit higher. Yeah, I went too high, but that's okay, we still hit the target. So at 75 yards and beyond, you're going to start aiming a tiny bit higher, and I mean a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Not a significant difference. In fact, if you put it in the middle of your sight, there's a pretty good chance you're still going to hit, because 75 yards is not all that far to these weapons. Now we get to the real difficult one, and I'm hoping that my video can even capture this, because even if it's a little pixelated, you're not even going to see these targets, especially in the rain. But you can kind of see the target out there in the distance. Yeah, couldn't even hit it from here. So I aimed the target in the center of my sight, and because I did that, I probably missed quite low. So what I need to do when I'm hitting a target at that distance, if I even hope to hit a target at that distance, I'm going to need to put it in the bottom of my sight, because there is a small amount of bullet drop. Now you have to account for the inaccuracy of these weapons in the game. They are inaccurate at that distance, so you're not always going to hit a bullseye, but in the practice, your goal is to just hit the target at all, because more often than not, you're going to hit an enemy if you do that, usually 60 to 75% of the time, unless they're moving, which lowers it significantly. But, you know, the more you practice at the range, the better shot you're going to be in battle. And, of course, the more you practice in battle, the better shot you're going to be in battle. Alright, so this time, yep, look at that. I put the target at the bottom of my sights instead of at the middle or top, and I hit the target. In fact, in that inner circle, there's a good chance I would have actually hit somebody. And as of this recording, being hit anywhere by a bullet just about will kill you. So, well, I shouldn't call it a bullet. I should call it a mini ball or mini ball if you prefer. But anyway, being hit by munitions anywhere in this game is generally a kill shot. So that's good. You don't have to aim for the head at 125 yards. Look at that. Again. And this is something I practice a lot. It's you'll get better at it the more you do it. But at 125 yards, you can get pretty good if you practice at the range and go for that farther target. Now that's how you hit a target within a lot of given time, a lot of time to set your target. But what about hitting a target in the heat of battle with very little time? What do you do to improve that? Well, let me show you. This is a little something that I do. I call them sprint drills. I know that there is a football term called sprint drills, so they're not necessarily that, but just for the simplicity, let's just call these sprint drills. So what we do is from here, from the post, we're going to sprint about, I don't know, I want to say 15 paces back, perhaps. On the Union map, it's this bush right over here that you can barely see because it's nighttime. And then I'm going to turn around. I'm going to take aim at the middle of these rear 3 targets, not the super far ones, because that would be a heck of a shot, but the rear of the 3rd set of targets, and I'm going to take a shot within 3 seconds. It doesn't have to be at 3, but it has to be within. So here we go. I will demonstrate. One, two, and I hit it. That probably would not have hit a person. It's a little outside the inner circle, but it certainly would have suppressed them a little bit. And if a bunch of people are firing at once, that's a serious amount of suppression, and there's a good chance one of them is going to hit that person. So I'm going to show you one more time. And again, I apologize that I'm recording this while it's pouring rain in the game, but oh man, can we just observe just how beautiful this game is? This game is so pretty. I mean, look at that. You can see the reflection of the moonlight. You can see the water rippling from the raindrops. And God, it's absolutely gorgeous. Just beautiful game. I really love the look of this game. It's so well done and very historically accurate, all things considered. Alright, so we're going to try this one more time. Do a sprint drill. At the ready, here we go. Let's see if I get lucky twice. If I get lucky twice, I'm going to feel really good about myself. 1, 2, 3. Holy crap! That's a kill shot right there, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I kind of practice a lot, so I'm pretty confident in my ability to turn and shoot. Now, let me show you a difference with a bayonet, and you can see the major difference between having a bayonet fixed and not having a bayonet fixed as it pertains to accuracy. So we're going to go back up to the fence once this big boy is on. Alright, there we go. Alright, so with my bayonet fixed, things change significantly. Yes, your accuracy remains the same in the sense that your bullet still travels. I'm going to call it a bullet. I know it's not technically a bullet, but let's just call it a bullet for simplicity, okay? But your bullet will still travel in the same direction and with the same amount of accuracy with the bayonet on. As far as I know, I may be wrong, but I'm fairly certain I'm not. However, the difference is with your bayonet fitted on your rifle, when you go to aim, you'll notice there's a lot more sway, and it takes your guy a lot more time to steady out. It really truly steadies. And you can see I hit the target too low. Whereas without the bayonet, I can almost dead sight this thing. I can almost hold this with a doctor's precision and calmness of hand. Unfortunately, it's not that way with the bayonet, but, I mean, I shouldn't say unfortunately. I should be thankful that it's not that way, because then everyone would always have bayonets on, and that would remove an element of the game that's really fun. So with the bayonet, I can still hit very accurately, but I have to fight my mouse quite a bit more in order to get inside the target, as you can see. Now, those are the basics of shooting. One other thing you should be aware of before we end this tutorial is the difference between shooting crouched and shooting standing up. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to remove the bayonet. Alright, off you go. Alright, now we're going to step back a little bit because we can't crouch in front of that post. It'll just block our sight. This should be good. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take aim, and I'm going to count the number of seconds before the sway generally slows down to a manageable level, to an almost steady level. So at the ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say about 7 seconds in it starts. Yeah, about 8 actually. Now it's just falling because it's a heavy gun and my guy's holding it. Alright, so now we're going to try it with a bayonet. So let's call that 6 or 7 seconds probably safely. Even 5 if you really want to get serious. Alright, here we go with the bayonet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're still swaying left and right, and now we're falling at a much quicker pace. So 10 seconds before your right and left sway is more or less stopped, and eternally for your gun to keep falling. So you're going to have to fight your weapon a lot more with a bayonet fix. It's not impossible to get a good gun if you see. Bullseye, baby. Woohoo! Man, I should get paid for this. Maybe 20 bucks a month, Union Army pay. And if you have a bayonet on, your sway is going to be worse. Your downward pull is going to be significantly worse. But if you're decent with a mouse, you're not using a trackball, then you'll be fine. It's just if you're going for maximum accuracy, you want to remove that bayonet, especially if the enemy's far away and you don't have to worry about a charge for a while. Usually, the commanding officer in your fight will say fixed bayonets if they're a good officer or they have someone relaying proper information to them. There are some maps where you spawn very near to the objective and you're told to fix bayonets, don't even reload, just charge in. And there's some where you don't need bayonets for a while. Harper's Ferry, for instance, if you get to the pontoon bridge quick enough, you can hold the enemy off without bayonets fixed. And yeah, so there's that. So that's the basics of rifleman training. That's basically everything I do to practice and become better at rifling in this game. Rifling. At firing and shooting and aiming and everything else. Rifling would be the process of rifling a barrel, so that's totally different terminology. Anyway, that's it. That's it for this tutorial, and I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, you can message me on Steam, or you can insult me and say that everything I've taught here is totally worthless. One other thing to note is not all the sights are different on the guns. The 1861 has a pretty middle-range sight width. One of my favorites personally is the Enfield 18... I want to say 63 or is it 53? I can't remember off the top of my head. But it has a very thin sight, and it's really great for accuracy. And of course all the Sharps model carbines are great for that too. They have very small sights as well. The opposite side of that would be the, I think the Lorenz has a really fat sight. The 18, what is it here? The 1863 Springfield, I believe, or the 65 has a very fat sight, so you're going to have to get used to that, but the rule still applies. Even if the sight is much larger, try to still put it in the center, lower half of your sight for distant targets, and for near targets, right in the center of your sight. These things are sighted quite well, and you're going to hit bullseye almost every time. And there's no tricks here. I'm doing that while talking, so I guarantee you can do it too with a little bit of practice. And I believe that's it, folks. I will see you at the next one. Hey everybody, I'm back, and I realized I said we were going to show you the difference between crouching and standing, and I got caught up with bayonets. I totally forgot this part of it, so sorry about that. I don't magically control the weather and suddenly make it stop raining in middle of the night. I wish I could, but no, I do not. This is being recorded 20 minutes later, so let's show you that real quick. I apologize. So, as you just saw, bayonets, there's a big difference in time before your sway settles down between bayonets and no bayonet. I don't know why I'm saying bayonets plural, but usually the commander will give bayonets as an order, so I'm just used to hearing it pluralized. So here's your aiming without crouching, so standing and aiming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, I don't know, let's say 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And if we crouch, by the way, crouching is a very situation-specific maneuver. You don't want to be kneeling while you're supposed to be in formation, because if you get shot while kneeling, your team will actually take a higher morale hit from it because you're considered to be skirmishing. You take a 40% lesser morale hit than if you were out by yourself, but it's still a higher hit. Whereas if you're in formation, it's a 80% reduction in morale lost for your team if you are killed. So that's a little something for another tutorial, but just something I thought would be worth mentioning. Now, if I take aim while crouched, 1, 2, 3, it's steady. That's insane. So let's see how good of a shot we can get while kneeling or crouched while I fight it with my mouse. Not bad. I actually would have preferred a little bit better, but not too bad. So kneeling definitely has an advantage for the quick turnaround from taking aim and firing. Definitely an awesome way to go about skirmishing. If you're in a skirmishing force, let's say 5 or 6 guys who are just out on an outcropping of rocks or something to distract the enemy, crouching is definitely the way to go if you're not being fired on a lot. Alternatively, crouching is good if you're in a very large line battle and there's 75 people on your side fighting and you're told you're in the front rank, kneel down. Lucky you, you're going to have that much better accuracy. Otherwise, standing is the preferred method of firing in War of Rights. Okay, so that is the addendum to my original video that I totally forgot about. Ooh, not bad. And that is it for me. This is Sergeant XB Walker of the 6th Vermont Volunteer Infantry, signing off.